Chumripsur, Namaste, hello. It was here at Phnom Kulen in Cambodia that the mighty Khmer Empire was born when Jayavarman II anointed himself king, breaking away from the Hindu Java Empire. In this series, we will see how the Indic influence was absorbed and adopted into the local culture and is still a pivot point around which the Cambodian culture and life revolve.
And welcome again to Forgotten Temples with myself, Mr. B. Now, usually in our little adventures, I take you out to see an ancient temple here in Cambodia, a place where one of those mighty Hindu gods would have dwelled. Well, this time I've got something different for you. And to me, it's very important I show it to you, because this is the ancient bridge of Preah toes, and as you can see, it's still functional today, nigh on 1,000 years on. And the reason roads and bridges like this are so important, it's because these were the very pathways of those ancient gods. And it's here, at both ends and either end of this bridge, we see the very fingerprints of the gods themselves. Because have a look, this is one almighty Naga. And as I say, there are 4 of them. So we can see very clearly who passed this way, who's of interest to our story at least. And we have a few kings to thank for these wondrous roads, especially Siravarman I, the second, and Jayavarman VII. They were prolific road builders. And if I asked you to hazard a guess, you may say, well, the reason they built these roads is to increase trade and so on. But you would be wrong, because the primary reason for these roads was to move your armies about. I mean, you have this expanding empire, and without the ability to move your troops effectively, it pretty much all dissolves into dust. And this is echoed in Europe, because that's exactly what the Romans did. They conquered vast tracts of land with their efficient use of roads. Napoleon was exactly the same, and it was him that came up with the rule that you need to travel on the right-hand side of the road, and this way it didn't impede his troops. And now it's time for you and I to step down onto the riverbank itself and have a look at this incredible marvel. I mean, it is truly an engineering feat that is on par with anything the Romans did. Today, an engineer would stand here and he would look upon it in awe. But to me, it has a deeper message. It's stretched out almost like a giant Naga. It fills the void from one riverbank to the other, allowing a safe crossing. And what that does is, on this very road, it allows those ancient gods to continue their march forward, deeper and deeper into the country. Now, we must be careful when we speak of the gods traversing these roads, which they certainly did. But this was not the major highways, for those were always the rivers and the lakes. These roads were primarily, as I said, for the military, and this is bared out because there's no road that stretches down the south of the country to where the ports are, because almost everything would be brought in by river. But what these roads do, which is incalculable in how important they are, is these were the very main arteries in some ways, because along them, as the armies travelled, so did religion, so did ideas, and so did a new culture. So it is these roads that have an awful lot to do with building up what is modern Cambodia. There in the distance, you may be able to spot one of those giant nagas. I travel around Asia extensively, filming forgotten temples and also such wondrous bits of engineering as this. And when I encounter wonders that are on such a grand scale, I always put myself in the shoes of the ancient people, because can you imagine coming from a small village somewhere and then you come across this Goliath? It must have been astonishing.
We must now leave the bridge behind us and take to the roads just as the ancients did when they went on their pilgrimages. But to take on the roads was exceedingly slow going. And this left them always with a question. What were they to do when the night came and their journey was still far from over? Well, there was an answer.
We've already mentioned the great king Jayavarman VII in this video. He was one of those rulers that helped expand the road network in the empire. But he's also responsible for something else, and it's buildings like this. They are truly incredible. Over 120 of them were built. And if I asked you to guess as to what this building is, you would probably say, well, Mr. B, I would say that's another abandoned ancient temple that once had a Hindu god. Well, I would have to tell you, you are wrong, because what this is, quite incredibly, is a rest house. It was purposely built along the road so that weary travellers could stop the night and they could stop in safety. This was a little piece of sanctuary. There would be fresh food, there would be clean linen, and there would be fresh water. They could keep their goods and their shackles here and rest easy and get a good night's sleep. And that is quite amazing. Places like this almost sing to me, because if you stand here, you can almost hear those ancient travellers in the wind. It is an exceptional place. As always, this has been Mr. B of Forgotten Temples. I ask you, please like, subscribe and comment. And until next time, I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best. You take good care.